Hello, Jessica Frost Ballas here with a video for lawnfawn. Today I'm changing up the Over the Rainbow die set to create an interactive Father's Day card, so let's get started. First, I stamped the trees from Happy Village, Tree Before and Afters, and Winter Skies. I also stamped the car and critters from Car Critters onto white cardstock with Copic-friendly black ink. I've sped up my coloring process, but I generally start with my lightest shade, then add shadows with my darkest color, and blend back out to the lightest. If the image or area is small, I'll sometimes skip the first light layer and start with the darkest shadow layer. Once I finish coloring, I die cut all the images with the coordinating dies. Next, I blend the panel for my card using Distress Oxide inks. I start by blending Twisted Citron across the entire panel. Then I blend Mowed Lawn around the edges and blend towards the lighter center. I keep going back and forth between colors until I'm happy with the blend. Once the panel is dry, I spritz it with water a few times and blot off the excess drops. I let that dry and then splatter the panel with a little bit of watered down Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide ink. I use a thin paintbrush and tap the splatters onto the panel. Then I dry the panel with my heat gun and set it aside while I work on the interactive part of my card. I'm using the new Over the Rainbow die set, and I start by die cutting the tiny decorative pull tab from white cardstock and the rest of the pieces from black cardstock. I don't need to cut the long strips because the rainbow is actually just going to be the black road. After die cutting all the pieces, I take the rainbow piece and use my fingers to gently curve the paper into my rainbow shape. This just helps get the paper ready to curve instead of bend. Then I fold along the score lines at the two ends of the piece. Next, I apply double-sided adhesive to the back of the small stitched black rectangle. I peel off the backing and adhere that over the end of the rainbow piece that doesn't have the notch. It fits perfectly over the end and is easy to line up. Next, we're going to adhere the rainbow to the solid piece, so I add adhesive to the back of the rainbow piece at the same end. That also lines up nicely with the solid panel and adheres right on top. So now the bottom of your rainbow piece and the solid panel are adhered together, but the top of each piece are not. Now that my blended panel is totally dry, I take the third large die from the set that has the two little prongs on the end and place that over the middle of my blended panel. I arrange it so that the prongs stick out above the panel and the die lines up with the edge. Now I have all three pieces for my interactive mechanism, and you can start to see how it's all going to come together. I add adhesive to the notch top of the rainbow piece and then line it up with the notch on the green panel and adhere it together. I was a little off the first time, so I carefully peeled it apart and adhered it again. Then I add a little liquid glue to the decorative tab and adhere it to the black tab. Now the recipient will know what to do when they receive the card. Next, I take an A2 panel of black cardstock and stamp my sentiment in the center of the bottom third. I stamp with Versamark and heat emboss with white embossing powder. Then I turn over the interactive piece and apply foam tape around the sides and bottom of the panel. Unfortunately, I'm out of foam strips, so I had to use lots of little foam squares. I remove the adhesive backing on all the squares and adhere the interactive panel to the black heat embossed panel. When you pull the tab up, the message is revealed at the bottom. I also want to decorate the top tab, so I die cut Dad from Henry's ABCs and use liquid glue to adhere that to the top. I like that you won't see either message until you pull up on the tab. I use a binder clip to hold the tab up while I glue the letters in place. Then I just start gluing and adhering all of my trees to the blended panel. I arrange the smaller trees at the top and the larger ones up front to give the illusion of depth in my scene. I also adhere the card to the road by adding adhesive to the bottom. This way the card pops up a bit when you pull the tab. I finish by adding white accents with a gel pen. And that's it! I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Be sure to subscribe to the Lawnfawn channel for even more crafty inspiration. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, have an amazing day and happy crafting. Bye!